Hey y'all, have you made mistakes on your money journey? I have. I am currently financially independent and I'm retired at 38, but along the way, I screwed things up big time. So I'm here today to tell you all the ways I screwed it up so you can do better than I did. Hi there, I'm Sheeta D from sheetasontheloose.com. I help women leave toxic work situations through career breaks or early retirement. All right, how did I get to early retirement at 38? Lots of mistakes along the way, and I'm here to tell you that it's possible. To retire early, you don't have to have a flawless story. To retire early, you can start reasonably late, if you're picking up pace pretty quickly, and you don't have to do everything perfectly. You can still get out early. So I want to tell you the mistakes I made so that you don't do the same things I did, and your journey can be even quicker than mine was. The first mistake was I went to see a financial planner that was not aligned with my interests. Most of her services were like paid services, so I paid for her advice, and then she also received a commission from the products I bought. I didn't know any better. It was a bad situation. But let me explain to you why it was such a bad situation. Because her advice wasn't aligned with my life or my goals. It was really aligned with her getting the most money possible out of me. So, what happened? She told me that everyone had student loan debt, and everyone had student loan debt forever. And so I should never plan on paying it off. Now, this is before FIRE really picked up. This is back in 2006, I think, that I saw her. I didn't have any examples of people who had paid off their debt completely and people who had a lot of student loan debt, because I had over 100,000, maybe 200,000, somewhere. I blocked out that number, which is something I do when I don't. We'll get back to that. The blocking out is part of the financial mistakes I've made. Anyway, I think it was close to $200,000 in in student loan debt. And she was like, why would you even bother trying to pay that off? Like, no one pays off all their student loan debt. It's ridiculous to even think about it. Like, why would you waste your money like that? Spend it on things don't do that instead. Instead, invest with me. That. She also talked me into getting a HELOC. I shouldn't say she talked me into, because I had my brain and I followed her advice, but it was a choice I made. So I took out a home equity line of credit on my house to pay off my credit cards. So yes, my unsecured credit card debt was turned into debt secured by my house, because that was her suggestion, to pay off my credit card debt. Now, of course, there was a lower interest rate, but if anything happened and I couldn't pay off that debt, now they could come take my house instead of just taking nothing from the unsecured line of credit with my credit cards. Don't do that. Like, there are situations where that's going to make the most sense for you. It didn't make sense in my situation, and I didn't see that. I should have just paid off my debt. I had enough. My income was high enough that I could have paid off my credit card debt through maybe a year or two of hard work and focus, and instead I took the easy way out. But it gets worse, because by the time the home equity, the check showed up from the HELOC, I'd already paid off some of my credit card debt. So there was a positive balance between what I owed the credit cards and the amount of the check. So now I'm here with, like, I have extra money. Like, what am I going to do with this extra money? Yes, I could have used it to pay down the HELOC. Yes, I could have used it to pay my mortgage. Or maybe I'm in a mall in Atlanta and the Louis store is serving champagne, so now I have a new Louis Vuitton bag. Foolishness! Foolishness. Foolishness. Don't. When I say I've made money mistakes, I mean I've made money mistakes. I took out a home equity line of credit and bought a purse. Like, I know this is supposed to be a no judgment zone, but I'm judging myself, so whatever. Another mistake. I didn't actually plan to retire early. I just put money in my 401k and just planned to retire in my 60s and 70s like my parents. Like, there was no plan, there was no focus. It was just like, I'm putting money in, it'll figure itself out. I always put enough money in to get the match for my employer. But now, I have done some things right, and we'll talk about them in the next video. But there was no overall plan. I've been saving for retirement since I was 18. I've been working since I was 12. So that helps you understand how, like, I got to early retirement even though I wasn't like really, really planning for it. One of the reasons is that I started really early. Another money mistake I made was I waited a really long time to roll over my 401ks. It was one of those things where I didn't really know what to do, and not having that knowledge created a little bit of fear, and that fear created indecision, and I just sort of stopped in place. And so for like 2 years, or maybe more, one of my 401ks at a law firm that I left just sat there earning shit and getting charged way more in fees than I should have. And I rolled it over, and it started doing so much better. And that was the first time I realized the difference in the amount of fees you can get if you manage your money yourself versus having your employer manage your money. So if you have old 401k sitting out there with your old employer, check like Vanguard and Fidelity and some other places and see if you can get much lower management fees on that money. If you roll it over, you usually can, and it's such a better idea because you're losing so much money. And it's really, I like having that control. Not that I couldn't control it in the employer's 401k plan or the employer managed plan, but I really like having it like completely separate from my old employer. I don't have to see their name on the plan. I don't have to see anything. It's just me. It's my money. Those people don't exist anymore. Blocking them out. Speaking of blocking them out, I ignored collection calls. Why was I getting collection calls? Because I was ignoring bills. And why was I ignoring bills? I don't know. Like, I was making enough money to pay my bills, but if something happened and I forgot, I would just be like, I don't want to. I'd see like a 1-800 number I didn't know on my phone and be like, I don't want to. Some like off-brand bill that I wasn't expecting, like a medical thing would come in and I wouldn't be checking my mail. And then it would be like 2 or 3 months later and I'd just try to block it out. But like, I could have just paid it. Now, my credit is really good because eventually I paid those things and it wasn't ever really bad because I paid my credit card bills on time. I paid my mortgage on time. But like those small things that weren't like on a regular cycle, it was really easy for me to be like, I'll deal with that later. Don't deal with that. Don't do that. When it comes in, deal with it. Still to this day, sometimes things come in and I'm like, I don't know that number. I don't know that. Who's sending me a bill? What is that? I'll deal with it later. Just deal with it now and save yourself a lot of heartache, a lot of hassle. No avoidance. No avoidance. Look your debt in the face. Write it down. Acknowledge it. It goes away much faster like that. If you acknowledge what you owe, if you acknowledge what comes in, you handle your shit much faster. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Last thing I did balance transfers to new cards. You know, they're like, oh, transfer the money and transfer your old balance. And it's 0% for 6 months. And then it's like 60% or 25, I think is usually what they do. I don't know what the numbers are these days because I haven't done a balance transfer in probably like, I don't know, over 10 years. But I would forget. And usually I think the way it works, I could be wrong on this, but I think the way it was before the Card Act was that you had to pay off all of your purchases first, and then the money then any payments you made went towards your balance transfers. And so unless you pay that card off in full, you're pretty much going to get charged that 25% rate on the balance transfer. Foolish. It can be done. It can be done well. It has to be done with intention or you're never going to do it right. Like, you have to really sit down and be tactical about something like a balance transfer or a HELOC if you're going to do it. Otherwise, you're just kind of like throwing money away and doing foolishness just because. I didn't need to do any of those, and I didn't. I could have just been more focused on paying off the debt that I had instead of trying to take shortcuts. I think that's it. Shortcuts and denial are really what like screwed me up on my financial journey. So don't do that. Be better than me. Okay, so the next video coming out is about what I did right on my money journey, and just as I was transparent here about what I did wrong, I'm going to tell you what I did right. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification button so you can be alerted when that video comes out, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.